Are you serious? Are you serious? Oh, I tell you what, you came to the right program, and we're going to need the audience's help today. My guest, of course, Charles at noblegoldinvestments.com. We've got some very important information. I should say he does. I got some important questions to ask on what is going on in the markets with gold, silver, stock markets, Main Street, Wall Street, Trump's tax plan. What's the impact for America? There's a lot to talk about, and we're going to go to, we got a live audience here that we're going to look for your questions, and you put some questions up there. We're going to see what Charles says about. So, Charles, welcome to the broadcast.
Thanks for having me.
Charles, okay, it's 2017, winding down. President Donald Trump says we're going to have a Merry Christmas. We're going to get a tax plan. Can you help me understand what is... Look, I understand the House passed it, the Senate's passed it, and now it's in committee. Is there any information you're getting, and what will be the impact of this, the Trump tax plan it looks like the Congress is going to sign?
Great question. You know, and really it depends on which plan we're talking about, the House plan or the Senate plan. They differ in a couple key places, okay? One big difference is the amount of tax tiers that we have. The Senate's going to reduce it down. The House has a few more tiers. The big question I think we look at when we see this is the corporate tax rate. That's the big question. That's the thing that everyone looks at and goes, what does that mean? And that's a great question because there's a couple answers to it. In theory, if we follow the Reaganomics method, the trickle-down economy, it's a great thing. Okay? Because as the companies spend less in taxes, they have more for wages, they have more for infrastructure, they have the ability to grow their businesses. So theoretically, it's great. The issue I have, and the reason I say theoretically, is, you know, I read all the time. I'm monitoring all the time. We have major corporations, the CEO of Coca-Cola, the CEO of Amgen, who said this tax break is not going to go into America. They're not bringing any more jobs back. They're not going to pay their wages, their employees higher wages.
Wow.
No change for them. They're going to give this to people who are in the stock market. They're going to increase their dividends for investors. Now, that's not necessarily bad if you're an investor, but this tax break was not meant to be.
No, I mean, this tax break was meant, Charles, to be, it was touted to be middle class, take the pressure off the middle class that's been carrying a heavy load, and actually to be a tax cut actually for all Americans, everyone. Certainly our corporate tax rates are running, what, 35%?
Correct.
Or higher. Highest in the world. Getting that down to 20 or 25 would be huge. But you can't forget the middle class. And if you take away all the deductions, then, you know, I mean, what does that mean? So is that kind of what's going on right now? Is there a wrestling match going on in Congress right now on how this is going to shake out?
There is some bit of a wrestling match. What we have to understand is Congress can do this with the best of intentions. The Senate can do this with the best of intentions. We still can't tell people where to spend that money. We can't tell the corporations what to do with it. And that's where the missing and the weak link is in this whole plan. And that's why there's such an issue with trickle-down economics, because everyone has to do their job correctly. If one person doesn't, you build a dam there, and you don't see that flow through in the economy.
Wow. Well, and Brock could put Charles on the screen so you guys can see him here. I want you to know I'm not talking to a computer system. Okay. Charles, okay, so we have the impact. No doubt America's going to be affected. No doubt it's going to be in a positive way. That's partly why we're seeing such a, already there's manufacturing base coming back. And the job growth has been unbelievable this year. The gross national product is up 3.3%. Unemployment's the lowest in 17 years. Stock market's the highest in history. I mean, there's a lot of indicators here. And how's gold and silver doing in the precious metals? Because I know there's people who want to diversify in their portfolios. And what would you say to them?
I think diversification is always good. You never want to be in just one asset class. And this is unfortunately what happens. Everyone, and we've been told this, invest in the stock market, invest in the stock market. That's one asset class. And what you put yourself the position in is the next time you have a downturn there, you're on the receiving end of a bad time. When you are diversified, what you do is you mellow out the rough edges. So when the stock market pulls back, it doesn't hurt you so much. You have something else that's there to counteract that offset in stocks. And this is what diversification has always truly meant. Stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, silver. Now this new beast, Bitcoin, the cryptocurrencies, that's part of it as well.
And you bring up Bitcoin, and I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't know anything really about Bitcoin. I just interviewed yesterday from Trade Genius. I just interviewed Bob, and he was talking a lot about Bitcoin, and he trains this academy of people to understand it. I don't understand Bitcoin, to be honest with you. I mean, look, in theory, I understand what they're saying, but it's like I'm so used to something's tangible. I got to feel it to know it's there. I don't know what's going on. But I guess maybe you can help us understand a little bit about Bitcoin. And do you see that as a part of this diversity for folks out there?
I do. Really, when you look at what the cryptocurrencies are meant to do, it's a means of storing wealth outside of the banking system. Okay. Outside of the financial system, which ultimately is what my clients do with precious metals. The difference is, and I don't want to make this an absolute, but we kind of see there's a line in the sand. Once you're over 40, you're looking at gold and silver. When you're younger than 40, this cryptocurrency makes a lot of sense because you understand it. You live in that virtual world. You've grown up with that, so you get it. But really, they're both the same thing. It's an investment that stores wealth outside of the dollar and outside of the banking system. We use it for the same exact reasons. Yeah, for that mistrust.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying is, and this, because look, I get a lot of people email me saying, Pastor, I mean, whoa, the Bitcoin, that's the mark of the beast. And could this be the one world currency, Bitcoin? And of course, look, I understand that Bitcoin is, like you said, a separate currency, just like you're looking at gold and silver, precious stones as a separate tangible asset. Now, I understand real estate, land, that's an asset, a house, land, and gold and silver, precious metals, I see that as an asset. And I guess I should look at Bitcoin the same way, as another asset. It's just in a virtual world. And like you said, the younger people, I'm not getting any younger, I guess. You get my age, you don't know what's going to happen next, okay? So, and if I can't touch it and I can't see it, I don't know. But in reality, you're saying just take a deep breath. You think the younger generation is going to be much more embracing to this.
Absolutely, and we see that. We do have a cryptocurrency division here.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's what we see, and we do see some of our clients who have precious metals are saying, "I see what's going on in this cryptocurrency. Is it something I should look at?" And then we have a conversation about it and explain the ins and outs, and understand that anything that is as volatile as the cryptocurrencies are, you could make a lot of money. You could also lose a lot of money. So with all things, you have to be balanced. So it's not that it's wrong for people, but if you maintain the proper balance, you can benefit from it.
I'm just looking at the comments here. We got a live audience with us, and Renee Johns just said, Bitcoin's been around for a while, and it's not the mark. So in other words, this is probably an individual that's been studying the currencies for a while and understands it completely. I have to be honest with you, when we first got a debit card, And they said, now you can pay for it. I was like, really? Well, wait a minute. How do I know they're going to deduct that correctly at the bank? I mean, so I guess.
That's my big thing. I'm like, who has this access into my bank account? Wait a minute.
What's going on? So it's a great statement, I think, Renee Johns, I think you made. And I think there's others that are saying, look, we've all have been given a number. We have a Social Security number, Paul Ayers just said. So in other words, I guess it's an education process, isn't it? It's getting accustomed to a new virtual world, a cryptocurrency world.
Correct. It's just new to us. And anytime something's new, especially when it comes to your money, you're a little hesitant. And it's understandable.
Now, yeah. I mean, look, everybody's got to function. Everybody's got to try to make it through this world. And a lot of you folks have worked real hard. And this is Charles from noblegoldinvestments.com. You've worked real hard. You've been building up your 401k. You're getting close to retirement. And you don't know what you should do. Should you cash out? Should you roll it into an IRA? Should you buy gold and silver? I mean, all the time, Charles, I hear people say, look, the Bible says that they're going to throw their gold and silver in the streets, and it's not going to have any value. And it does say that in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 7, but it's referring to the day of the wrath of God. If you read the verse, it says, in the day of the wrath of the Lord. Until the day of the wrath of the Lord, gold since the beginning of time has been always a valuable piece. Okay, God used it to overlay the Ark of the Covenant in gold. He made a golden altar. Everything he did. Matter of fact, heaven's going to be made of streets of pure gold. So, I mean, gold is it's a great conductor. I know here in our studio, the wiring we use with gold wiring is perfect. So, only in the day of the wrath of God will they throw it in the streets. It's not going to do you any good then. But so, Charles, help us.
Us won't be around for that.
That's exactly right.
They can have it. I'm good with it at that point.
So as Christians, we are not ever going to see the day they throw the gold in the street. That's the day of the wrath, and we're not appointed unto wrath. So I think we have to get past that stigma among Christians to understand that until the wrath of God, everything's in play, okay? And you can be blessed of the Lord and go forward and trust his word. All right, Charles, we've talked about the tax plan a little bit here and what it may mean for us, but don't we still got this big millstone around our neck called Obamacare? What's the plan?
That's exactly right. That's still there. And another thing with that, once they finally take away that burden, you can have small businesses grow. Because let's be real honest, your big corporations don't make all the growth in the United States. It's you and I, it's our individual businesses. We're the ones who go out and employ people in our small towns, okay? Yep. And that burden is heavy. It's very heavy. So until that goes away, the extra taxes don't mean that much. Because what they're going to get back in taxes, most of your small businesses don't make enough money for that extra 15% to offset the cost of the Affordable Care Act, of Obamacare. So until that's gone, you have a hard time with growth.
So there's a 15% extra tax on the small businesses to cover Obamacare right now?
Well, the difference with the 35% that they're paying now to the 20% reduction.
Well, will there be?
15% won't offset the cost of all that insurance.
Will there be? I'm hearing that the big corporations are going to go from 35 to 20, but I'm not. What is the middle class?
25. So that's only 10% for them.
Okay, so the middle class is going to go from 35 to 25. Yet we're the ones that carry 80% of the job. We employ 80% of the people in the country. We're still going to get. We're still in the squeeze, aren't we? A little bit.
Always. That's the way it works.
Okay.
But what we really have to focus on is a way to make that squeeze work for us. And that's why, when you look at this plan, the fact that it adds $1.5 trillion to the deficit, that's troublesome. You have the Senate saying, we want to go ahead and go with the plan. We want to approve the budget. We want to add that $1.5 trillion, and we want you to wait a year to get your tax break on top of that. We don't want to start until 2019. And that's confusing to me. Are you helping us or not?
Well, by not making this retroactive, and that's what I heard too, that they don't want to make it retroactive. They want to start it January 1st, 2018, which means this whole year of 2017 will not get the benefit of that. Now, I'm hoping that while they're in committee, somebody gets somebody in a headlock and changes that 8 to a 7, and it started retroactive January 1. But I'm going to ask you a question. I mean, is it too late to do it because of, H&R Block and everybody's got to get all their manuals and all the software ready, because you got people rushing in to do their taxes within the first, second week of January, and will they maybe it's too late?
Actually, no. If you remember a few years back when we had the trouble with the IRS and they delayed rebates for everybody, so they could do a situation like that and say, okay, we're going to give you an extra 3 months till we can get the plan hammered out, if they wanted to. I just don't think you see it.
You're saying they don't want to.
Right now,
it's so many.
The least amount of debate as possible to get this bill passed.
Plus, let's be honest, the United States government, by not letting the tax plan start till January 1st of 2018, that means everybody's going to pay the same high rate for 2017. And that's billions and billions of dollars that they want to make sure they get that into the kitty there in Washington, into the swamp, and make us wait an extra year. But the growth that you've seen this year was based on the expectation of there being a tax break this year, wasn't it?
Absolutely. That's what this was about. We knew, we believed that it was going to happen. And there was no reason to believe that it wouldn't. We had a Republican president. The House was controlled by Republicans. The Senate was controlled by Republicans. Yet we see this quagmire still happening. We still have Obamacare. We didn't get the tax plan. These are things that should have happened immediately, but they didn't. And shame on us Republicans for allowing our people to do that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they had a supermajority. It could have easily been done. It should have been done. Maybe they'll still do it. There's a last-second chance that they'll retrofit, make it retroactive January 1st, 2017, and that'll come in. But don't hold your breath, okay? Don't hold your breath is what I'm saying. Okay. Now, Charles, this is Charles with NobleGoldInvestments.com. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. He'll help you with your questions. And folks are right now, we've got people in the chat room right now live that are asking a few questions here. One person said, Bitcoin, it's been around for a while, and they understood what it meant. One person W. Calhoun says, look, I'm playing catch up. Isn't that kind of the case? What about the school debt? How about all these folks that went to college and have got huge loans and can't get relief? They can't file bankruptcy on it, and yet the job market hasn't, they're playing catch up. Is there anything for them that you see in the future that can help them dig out of this?
And that's what this plan was supposed to do. We have to realize, we look at those unemployment numbers and they look good, but it doesn't take into consideration all those people who had to take a reduction in job after the big collapse in 2018. A lot of people didn't have the choice. They weren't getting paid the same. They lost the job. They didn't want to sit at home. They went and got any job they could get. They haven't been able to get back to their previous station in life. And that's what this bill was supposed to help happen. But it's not doing that. And until we can see that situation change to where people are fully employed as they should be, we're going to have issues with that. So there is hope, but it's not today and tomorrow, unfortunately.
Wow. Charles, you wrote a book, and it's at your website, called Government Lies Exposed. Can you give us we're putting it on the screen, and so the folks are seeing it. And it says Government Lies Exposed, Part 1, Inflation. Can you give us a little synopsis of what this book's about? And I think you said it's available free at your website, but help us understand what this book's about.
And I don't mince words. That's why it's titled Government Lies Exposed, because we've been lied to. We've been told all along that inflation is good for us, Nothing could be further from the truth than that. And the government tells you if we can be at 2% inflation, you're in the best economic situation you could be. So that means if you save your money and you have it for the course of 50 years, you've lost 100% of the value on that currency. Inflation is a lie. That is the main thesis of this book.
You know, Charles, and I know you're a Christian and you got a Christian company and you really make a difference for people out there. A lot of folks have worked hard their whole life. They put money in their 401k. You know, I remember when I was growing up as a kid, my dad would say to me, you know, everybody worked in a company. There was a retirement plan there. You get your 20 years, you get your 30 in. You be loyal to the company's loyal to you. The game changed. There's no such thing, right? So people work. They put their money in a 401k. Maybe their employer matches it a little bit. They work their whole life, and at 59 and a half, it's time to pull that thing out, and they don't know what to do. Do they put it in a bank where there's no interest at all to be made? Do they put it in gold or silver, part of it? Do they put some in the stock market? Do they leave it in the stock market? Charles, help us right now. Going into 2018, if there's somebody out there listening right now that's in their late 50s, early 60s, and are getting ready to do this, what is your advice?
The most important thing you can do when you get to that point is mitigate risk. Because the important thing at that point, up until you retire, it's all about getting it to grow as much as possible. When it gets close to retirement time, you don't need growth anymore. You need to mitigate your risk. You need to know that your account is not going to lose tremendous value because the stock market falls, because the economy takes a really wicked turn. So that's what you look for. When it comes time to retire, you want stability. Because what you're doing is you're giving up your job that has given your life stability. And you're expecting this plan to provide that. Now, the only way you can do that if you minimize the risk. And this is why we say diversify. When it comes time, and it's best to do it before you actually retire if you can, to get everything in place so that you can, you know, we have a stock market now that's over 24,000 on the Dow.
Wow.
There's no reason it should be there. If you look at any logical set of numbers to explain the growth on companies, it shouldn't be here. Should be much closer to 15,000.
So do you see a bubble? I mean, do you see the stock market recorrecting itself here at some point? Or do you see the growth of this year and next year, maybe the year after with the new tax plan, new adjustments? Do you see maybe it kind of holds there while it really the floor really gets back up closer to the ceiling? Or do you see the ceiling falling closer to the floor in the next 2 to 3 years?
The ceiling's coming down to the floor. Wow. The stock market has a natural rhythm to it. Every 8 to 10 years, you have a form of correction. We are at that point where we're over that 10 years now, okay? And not only are we in the time frame for a correction, we have to understand that this stock market was built on the free money the government gave to banks.
I remember
that
the TARP
has to come out of the system.
That's the TARP money. That's the bailout money. The TARP, the $2.8 trillion that Obama and George W. Bush shared, and then there was 2.9 in a stimulus package, if you remember. And everybody lost their homes, and everybody crashed, and everybody lost their jobs, but the banks got bailed out. And then the banks went ahead and took everybody's homes, plus got bailed out. I mean, this is what happened. That's the reality.
Yeah. The government also bailed out General Motors, gave money to Ford, gave money to all the automakers. Okay, all that money has to come back. It wasn't free money. It was a loan. When it comes out, all of this growth is based on all that free money. So that gives you an indication of the real interest of that market. It didn't get there by itself. It took trillions of dollars to get it there.
So we're back to the same thing again, and that is there has to be a correction. when it comes to the stock market, there will have to be a correction. Now, I don't know about the real estate market. I mean, maybe it doesn't need to be corrected. Maybe it kind of remains where it's at. And what does the price of gold and silver do then? I mean, so you're what I'm hearing you say, that you're encouraging people that are out there. I got a lot of folks that are right now live with us. Good people, good Christian people, work hard, pay their tithe, faithful to God. And they're sitting there wondering, what do I do? They're getting ready to retire. Let's say they got $20,000. Let's say they got $30,000. Maybe they got 50, whoever, whatever it is in their 401k. They're getting ready to retire. Do they need to leave do they need to leave a bulk of that in that stock market if it's going to correct itself, or should they put maybe a little more into the precious metals? Do you see the precious metals going up if the market is going to correct itself? Help us understand it, Charles.
With a market pullback, when we look at this, we have to look at the market, the metals market as it is now. It's completely undervalued. Okay, we should be seeing gold much closer to $1,400 an ounce. Silver should be much closer to $22 to $25 an ounce. That's just today value. Okay, if you consider a correction in the stock market in there, this is where you start to see numbers in gold to look closer to the $1,900 an ounce that we've been in the past, and silver getting closer to that $50+ an ounce mark. Okay, so should you move more? It really is a case-by-case situation, and that's what we do here. When people call us, we go over their options because we want to make sure that what we recommend is right for each individual. Everyone has different needs, and we have to consider that. Each individual has different circumstances. We want to make sure we make the best recommendation based on those.
And that's what I like about you, Charles, is you're willing to say, let's look at every individual, say where they're at in their life cycle. Where are you at in your time in life? And what makes the most sense for you, the individual? Not necessarily. You're not sitting there saying what makes the most sense, maybe necessarily for you, Charles, or for someone else. But what's the best advice to give these God-fearing, hardworking people who call you on the phone and say, Charles, I'm retiring, and I need to figure out what to do? You're the guy to call. I mean, it's noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Give Charles a call. We're putting it on the screen. You can see it. I also will put it in the description of this video right there. You can click right on it. Takes you straight to his website. His phone number's there. It's all there. And you're saying, Charles, it's an individual case-by-case basis.
Absolutely. There are some people, I tell them, you probably shouldn't have any metals. It really depends on each individual.
And you'll also help them with Bitcoin if they want to get a little bit into Bitcoin,
Absolutely.
Do you manage their Bitcoin for them, or do you recommend to them if they do? What do you do?
We show some options. There's a couple ways you can look at it, and we can even do it in their 401ks and retirement accounts. That's possible as well. So yes, we will give advice there and give some guidance on that. And many of my clients, have both gold and silver and Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And we've seen a large portion of our clients who've been in this wild ride on these cryptocurrencies where they've gotten to the point where they're more than 100% profitable, and they take some of those profits and lean it back into precious metals, something more tangible.
Yeah, I was going to say, do that. A month ago, this is what I was talking to Bob Kudla about yesterday, is that a month ago, Bitcoin was around $7,500 a coin. Yesterday, it was $17,000. Okay. Right. And so, he was basically saying to me, normally you look at stocks, you look at precious metals, and you just let them sit there for a while and let the scale slide go up, and then but he said what the situation is, people are buying into Bitcoin. They might going to just wait 6 months, and it makes sense to sell. And then, like you said, put it into stock in the stock market, or put it into precious metals, or put it in the bank. It's kind of their decision. But is it easy for them to get into Bitcoin and easy to sell out? Is it an easy process, Charles? Can you walk them through that?
It is, because we help you with that. So if this is in your IRA, we're going to go through regular IRA steps, get you an account open in a self-directed IRA. Once the account's funded, we're going to have that conversation. What do we want to do? Do you want to do gold and silver? how much we'd like to do in Bitcoin, and we're going to actually take care of all that for you. We're going to make sure it gets loaded into your crypto wallet where it's secure in cold storage, or your metal is going to be put into the vault where it's segregated in your name only. We take care of the security on it to make sure that you're absolutely protected. Very important. And we help you with that entire process. We walk you right through it all.
Folks, Charles, good Christian man, got a great Christian company, and is just you can trust him. Okay, so if you get to that point in your life, and maybe that's you right now, or maybe you're saying, wow, I've been retired 10 years and I've had my money laying in the bank and it's not even barely making 1% or whatever it is, and you're wondering what in the world you should do. You're looking to the future. Maybe you're looking to leave an inheritance for your grandchildren. You're thinking this thing through. Give Charles a call. Let him help you. I can't answer that question for you. I can only tell you, look, give your life to Jesus Christ. Be faithful to the word of the Lord. Support, your local church or the ministry. Do what you're supposed to do to help people live for God. But if you need help, it's sort of like this. My car breaks down, Charles, I'm not calling you, okay? I'm not calling you. I'm going to go call a mechanic. Okay, if you're sick, some of you have got some issues in life, you might call me, okay? I can help you in some of those areas. But if you need to know what to do with your retirement accounts and diversifying your portfolio, call Charles, noblegoldinvestments.com. Charles, any last words of wisdom for us?
And what you said was so true. We take another minute to focus on that. Christ first. Everything else second. Because that's the most important thing, above all else. But
Amen.
Once you have Christ first and you need the rest of the advice, if it's financial, let me know.
There you go, folks. Charles, noblegoldinvestments.com. Charles, great to have you with us again today. Look forward to next time.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Pastor.
All right.